Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. In today's video, I'll be talking about my A5 Stalogy, why I'm moving into a Hobonichi Weeks for 2022, and some pre-planning that I've done. And if that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. Okay, this video will be a little bit chatty because there's reasons why I've been using my A5 Stalogy, the reason why it's no longer seeming to work for me, why I'm moving into a Hobonichi Weeks, and then I'm actually going to show you some pre-planning that I've done. I will segment it in the description box as well as in the pinned comment by way of timestamps, so just be forewarned. It's definitely going to be chatty and it's probably going to be on the longer side. So for those of you who are new here, this is my A5 Stalogy. I do house it in a Moterm cover. I picked up all of these things actually from Amazon, but let me move these out of the way for now. And let me show you what I've been doing to kind of explain why it isn't working for me as much as I would like it to. So I've known about this first problem for a couple of months now, but it's something that I've been working around, so it's no big deal. And that's by way of journaling. Now, I used to do a daily journal in my skinny classic half notes, but I did that for about 8 months, and then I realized I'm just not into that. And I've come to realize just by watching various things here on YouTube that for me, journaling is not cathartic. If I'm feeling anxious or stressed, or if I'm in a mood or ranting, writing down those emotions kind of actually cement them. They don't get out of my head because the act of writing kind of makes things more tangible. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like when I was in school and I was writing notes. I didn't necessarily need to reread my notes. Just the act of writing them down made them more firm in my head than if I didn't write them down. And so writing down those more negative or anxious thoughts don't help me because all they do is just make them more sticky in my brain. That's the best way to explain it. But I have been wanting to write down things that have been happy or interesting or just not negative, and I wouldn't mind remembering over a course of time. But I don't have anything really set up for that I have with me, because this is my everyday carry. And so no matter where I am, whether at home or whether in the office, this is with me, and this is the most convenient way for me to write that stuff down. Now, I've had a little bit of space in the beginning of the month, but I realized that it's not going to be enough if I'm really feeling like I want to write things and flesh things out about movies I've watched or things that are just happy. Plus, I do want to add a little bit of decor. So I was fine with that, so I was just going to make it work. But then I did a recent video where I did some pre-planning for some YouTube content, and I did it back here at the end of my Stalogy. This is a Stalogy A5 half year, and these are the only 3 pages that I had remaining. Every other page in here has been earmarked for something else, and I have found this very helpful for me to figure out what it is that's on my plate. Now, the last 2 months of 2021 are definitely busier than my months generally are by way of my YouTube channel. But so long as I have a good grasp of what I need to do, it's not as overwhelming. It was overwhelming originally when I set it up, but now that I've been working on it and slowly checking off videos that I have done, it makes it seem a lot more manageable to me. But there is no other space for me to be able to do this. And the monthlies that I have right now are not really conducive for that because I was using this for work basis. And because of that, I thought, okay, well, I want to move into something different because this is not fitting all of the needs that have sort of evolved. So that kind of talks about what it is that hasn't been working. So let me show you the things that have. I do like having spaces to write down notes. And again, this has evolved more than just a work planner. This is truly an everyday carry because I've got a whole bunch of things in here. Now for my work week, I only work Monday through Friday unless there's a holiday, and I am not a task list person. I don't make a to-do list of all the things I need to get done. I know the things that I need to get done. For me, the way that my brain works, I write down things that I have completed, and I find something very satisfactory about that. That's why goals don't work for me, or goal setting doesn't work for me, or planning doesn't work for me, because that just seems too overwhelming. It doesn't help me, and it also seems redundant in some ways. But writing down everything that I have done, then I can see that I am productive, and it also keeps me on task of, okay, this is what I've done this week. I know this is coming up for next week. Let's work towards that. And so that's what I've done for the 5 days during the work week. I do have some reminders or just an ongoing next week list. That's what this spot is for. I like writing down my thoughts into the week. I like writing my thoughts out of the week. And I like coming up with a little bit of quote. And I like coming up with a quote that's either sassy or snarky. I don't really do the whole motivational, inspirational, positive thing. The only reason this sticker is there is because it matched the color theme. I don't actually care what it says. The decoration has been minimal because I've been sticking to just basically washi, some color by way of either mild liner or Tombow, and then just a random sticker here and there. But it's really meant to be functional. And every week has been like that. So that really works for me, and I want to continue that into my Hobonichi Weeks. At the end of this is something that I was doing in that daily journal, where it's my highlight reel. And it isn't just the best things that happen in the day, it's just for me to remember what actually happened from day to day, because the days kind of run together. I don't live one endless loop of Groundhog Day, but I also don't lead a very exciting life. So this just gives me an idea of what happened on the day-to-day. I like tracking the movies that I've watched. If I show you the one that I'm currently working on in November, it's currently November 15th. I've watched a lot of movies so far. I like tracking the coloring hashtags that I like to participate in. I don't do a lot on Instagram, but these just help me focus on some of my coloring. And then the only trackers that I really do are in regards to, have I journaled, have I colored, have I played in my Switch, have I unplugged? And for me, that means reading or watching a movie, television, and have I uploaded a video to YouTube. For the end of November, the one that I'm currently in right now, I've already watched a ton of movies. There's quite a few hashtags that I wanted to remember. And then I've been doing this as well. I do this on a daily basis, either the last thing I do at night or first thing in the morning. In fact, I've already started writing oh no, today's Tuesday the 16th. I've already started writing for today, and I'll finish this out when we're done with this video here. And then every month it would have just been a repeat. But again, I have no extra space. So if I watch a ton more movies or a ton more television, or if I read and get all of that done, I have a little bit of space here, and then that's it. I don't have any other space that I've earmarked for that. I also track my period in here, which is right there. And then this section right above here is all of my bill paying. So there's a lot comprised in here. And where I needed to do some pre-planning is I'm going from an A5 size to this. This fully opened doesn't equal to a fully open 2-page spread. So I'm really downsizing, but the way that I've configured it, I don't think I'm losing any of the functionality. Now, I did have this on hand. I actually purchased this in 2020 as an art journal, and so it doesn't bother me that I've done some tester pages in here. And so let me show you some of the things that I have come up with, because all of this needs to go into here and potentially into here. Now I did order a Moterm cover that's on its way, but I do have one of those cover on covers. I'm actually going to be using this one, but this is the one that I did all of my testing in. Now I'm probably going to do a repeat of this. This I did some free drawing and then just it came in with some watercolors. I do want to have my Hobonichi Weeks as thin as I possibly can make it. I don't want it to be a no sticker, no washi, but I do want it to be minimal. So if I can draw in some things, add some splashes of color here and there, I'm certainly going to do that. For this, I do plan to have this as my period tracker, and so I actually will migrate the information of my periods for 2021 and then mark the ones for 2022. Again, this is a little misleading because it's such an old one, but I had this already, so I thought, because this literally just came today. I actually ordered a mega. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I should be getting that within the next week or so, and then I'll need to decide because I want to use this for December 2021. And so I think this is going to be 2022, 2020, 2023, I don't know, but I will use this as much as I can. I'm not going to cover anything up by way of stickers. This is easily read for me, although I might just go over and just do some hand lettering by way of putting the months in. This I've decided, because it was going back and forth on a variety of things, and you're going to see that throughout my pre-planning, is I didn't know exactly what to do with this. I think this would be way more functional if they did this vertical calendar over 4 pages versus over 2, because that's just not a lot of space. And so that tracker that I was doing in next to my highlight reel, I thought I could do here, but that was just, it's going to look too cluttered by the end of the year. I thought I could track some of my YouTube videos here. I thought I could color code, but then that just seemed to be too fussy. And so I think what this is going to be is just, I'm going to write down birthdays, holidays, vacation days, and sick days, because there's not a lot of space, but for those things, I don't need a lot of space. And I don't need to have every single page filled to the brim, but I do want to get some use out of it, and it has been a little bit of challenge to figure out what to do with that. But for right now, that's what I'm going to be doing with this. This is something I keep on the digital calendar that we keep at work, so if for any reason I don't keep up with this, I'm not too fussed about it. Now you're going to see where some of the art journaling came in, because I actually did use this and it was just tucked away. And so I do have some testers because I thought, okay, so for the monthly, since it takes up a bit of real estate, this is where I can do all of my YouTube content planning. And originally I thought I could do my highlight reel in here, but I knew that was going to look too cluttered by the end of the month because it'd just be a running bullet list of all of the highlights of my day. And so as you can see, it's kind of changed up. So I do like the idea of doing lettering because again, I'm not going to be adding a ton of washi or stickers to this. I thought, well, maybe I could do that tracker down here, but I didn't like the way that it looks. I thought I could write important dates here, but this isn't going to be for work. Come January 2022, more than likely I will be full-time back in the office as well as full-time catching the bus. And so I'm always going to know where I am during the work week. There's no hybrid schedule that's going to be available as far as I am aware as of right now. I thought I could use this sidebar to track the videos in the order that I wanted to film them, but that's like, no, I don't really like that. Again, I was trying some things down here. I didn't really like that. I realized I need to remember that the monthly overview is a Monday start. All of my monthly overviews prior to this, I've always preferred a Sunday start. Now I could redate all this, but why? My weeks, I've always preferred a Monday start because I start work on a Monday. But this is going to take some getting used to. And so what I've decided is, this is the layout that I'm going to be doing for December. And so how I'm going to kind of segment this out is I'm going to put at the bottom of every day, on the days that I want a video to go live, is I'm going to put green. So that potentially is between 12 and 15 videos a month. All of the yellow that you see here are potentially the days that I can do filming. Now I work from home right now on Mondays and Fridays, and so I could potentially do filming during my lunch break or after work there. But I wanted to just kind of visually see this. It is weird for me to see weekends together, although it does make more sense. But then during the rest of this, that's where I'm going to map out what I want that video to potentially be. And I'm going to do that in pencil just so that if I need to move things around, I can. Because there's certain videos that I know I want to do every single month. And then I can do some filler. Saturday is the only video that I guarantee per month. I'm always going to have a Saturday video because I've always had one since May 2019. All of these other ones, if they happen, great. If they don't, that's going to have to be fine. The only reason there would be any change to that rule is if I am doing a collab with someone and it falls on one of those days or one of the other days. I mean, I can schedule a video at any time. Down here is where I would do a tracker. Okay, so I've mapped this out in pencil. Now I'm going to do if I want it to fall on that day, have I filmed it? Have I edited it? Have I scheduled it? And have I shared it? Now, this is the FEST method that I learned from my friend Andy, because that's how she does all of hers. And she's actually really great about filming, editing, scheduling, but then also sharing to both Instagram and her blog. That last S, I very rarely do, but it's still a FEST method because it's still FES. And I can do that, although I might split this into these two sides here. And then for whatever reason, green always means YouTube to me. And then I would just want a complementary color to it, just so I can see if I need to bulk film, which is more than likely what's going to need to happen, then kind of figure out, well, if there's other things going on that will also take up my time. So that's how I came up with the monthly overview. Again, that's how I'm going to be doing December. And then we'll see, does it work, does it not? And then kind of tweak it up as the months progress. Now, when we get into the weeks, then I wanted to test some things out because there are the certain things that I like having on the page. So my original tester was this. I was going to break it down where I would write down what the cafeteria was offering by way of breakfast and lunch. I do work in a community college. And then I would highlight what I actually had for lunch because sometimes I bring lunch from home. And then in this section right here, I would put my completed tasks. And then I'd write a little blurb here, or I'd mark it out so that I can note whether I'm in the office and whether there's any scheduled meetings. Down here, it doesn't bother me that it's in Japanese. None of the Japanese bothers me. I mean, it's for the Japanese market that other people just have learned to love, so I'm just going to deal. I'm not going to cover that up. I am going to write down what the actual week comprises of. I just like seeing that. And because I only work Monday through Friday and I don't need to write things that are happening on the weekends because I know what's happening on the weekends, this is going to be my thoughts into the week and my thoughts out of the week. So it makes sense in my brain. I'll have the quote of the week on here and then my reminder or my running list for the following week here. And then I've got a bit of real estate. Now what you see here is I tested out some stamps just to see how the ink worked. And it's not too bad, just a little bit of bleed through. Then I also used a stencil and some distressing to see how it added to the page. Now I will need to test this out a little further. I did choose a lighter color. It seems to sink into the page, but not necessarily bleed through. The stamp did because it was juicy. It was the first stamp. I didn't stamp on something else first. But again, that doesn't bother me. It's thin paper. It's Tomoe River paper, so I'm assuming that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a little bit more muted than I would have liked. I could also do some doodling. Again, the art journal thing. This was more testers. But this is how I think my week is going to look. So I'm going to move the completed tasks over here. I like highlighting that just because it adds some color to the page. I can make a column right there for now because again, once I go full-time to the office, that is not going to be necessary because I'm going to know exactly where I am. And then I can write down the menu for the cafeteria on this column here and then highlight what I actually had for lunch. I'll keep the full date of the week down here. You usually do that either in a Tombow or in a mild liner. And on this side, I'll keep the quote of the week. I do have a little stencil that I use, and this basically just gives me a visual of how my week went. Down here, I like to do a standout for the week. And this is really a summary of by way of 1 or 2 sentences of things that just really stood out. Whether it's positive or negative, I don't know, but that will be the standout for the week. And then I had some extra space here. So what I did was I searched for a word of the week, and you can actually find that at greatexpectations.org. And the word of the week for this particular week was haphazard, and so I did some lettering by way of my mild liner and then some lettering on top of that, and it actually gives you a quick definition, and I like the look of that. And then this is just a washi sticker. Now it's very minimal by way of there is literally 1 sticker on the page. I think it's quite colorful. It is certainly functional, and a lot of the weeks are going to look like this. This side will probably remain pretty constant, and the only difference is if any of these fall on either a holiday or vacation day or a sick day, then I'll kind of mark it out accordingly. But this side I can play around with so long as I have these elements. Like this one is a complete throwaway. I don't need it. I don't need that. But these things right here I do. So I could switch it up. I could move it to its side, so I could change it up on a weekly basis, and that will work for me. Because I mean, I do tend to get bored, but so long as I can see the functionality of it, I'm okay. Now I do write pretty small, and so on some days I might get 3 like medium-sized projects done, and that's certainly enough space. But if I have lots of things going on within a day, I can actually still fit quite a bit of things on here, because I can just write either abbreviations or 1 or 2 words, and I know exactly what it means. For right now, I need this because on my work from home days, I need to account for the projects that I've completed. It also gives me an idea of the projects to complete for the next week. Once we are fully back in the office, that isn't required, but I still like seeing how productive I am on a daily basis. And so there's a lot of information that I've kind of pared down into this small space right here, but I think it still looks really cute. Now, more than likely, because I'm going to be starting my new one in December 2021, if it works well enough for me that I'll continue to do that for 2023, right? So December 2021 through November 2022, start the new weeks December 2023 to November 2023. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to need December in here, and I've got some thoughts on what I can do with it, but for right now, I'm going to keep December just if it's blank because I migrate into a new one, fine. But December is not going to be used. Now, I know I'm not going to use January, February, or March, which it gives you. And so this is where I'm getting in that highlight reel. So on this side, I'm going to segment what I've watched for the month and what I've read for the month. In fact, I might switch this up and make this, I want to work in one of my creative journals every month at least, and so I'll write that there. This will be what I've watched, and I can binge a ton of shows you would not believe. And then I would like to read a lot more, and I've read like 5 books this year, so a lot more isn't that much, but I've actually purchased quite a bit of books from Book of the Month, and they're just sitting on a shelf. So I definitely want to read a little bit more, log what I'm watching, and then work in one of my creative journals on a monthly basis. Now, nothing coloring related is here yet, but again, I could do one here that has the coloring hashtags. right? And this doesn't have to be cute because this is truly what I'm pre-planning. And so I would do something like this. It is a bit fussy to do all of the lines, but it does help me because there isn't a ton of space from here to here. I do like having my tracker here, and this just makes it neater for me. So I either would use my high-tech C pen, my high-tech Coletto pen, or my Muji pen. I did order a pen that was recommended. I can't remember what it was, but I'll have to test that one out. Although on these twin tone pens, this very fine line right there works beautifully as well. In fact, that's how I drew this. And so I could use that as well. And then this paper back here, that's my blotter. I just tore this out from a traveler's notebook I have. And then if I want to close it up, I'll just stick it into the page that I've written on. And then if there is any transfer, it will transfer on the blotter page. And so as you can see, I'm using this to the best of my ability and using sections, because if I'm using January through March, that actually gives me a place for this and my highlight reel for the 12 months that I would be tracking. So all of this will get used, and I don't have to, again, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it, but I have a place to fit it, because if it didn't fit in here, then I would have to move it to the notes section. And that's really what I'm deliberating for, using the regular weeks or the mega weeks. Now, if you didn't know, there are 12 lines here. And so that's good, because that could also correspond to the month. I think people use this as an index. I'm probably not going to use this as an index. I don't really need that. But the way that I planned to use this section, because this was my tester and I didn't really like the look of this as well, is this is where I want to incorporate some journaling. So last night I just sat down and just did some thoughts on how this could potentially look. This would be the section that would have the most washi and the stickers, just because I don't want to go full ham. I've got other things that I can do, collaging and stickers and things like that, but I do definitely want this to be more decorative than the functional areas in the front. And I also know that these stickers right here, these were some that I seen on my friend Andy's channel. I don't want them in here because they're vinyl and they're a lot thicker than some of my washi stickers. So just, if I take into account that if I use washi stickers like this right here, this actually does not leave a ton of footprint. You can hardly tell that there's any ridging on here because it is washi paper. So if I can use more of my washi stickers, and I have a ton, then I will minimize the bulk, because I really don't want this to bulk up too much. And this one, they are super adorable, and I'm definitely going to use them in other journals, but I don't know that I'm going to use a ton of them in here. I also made some notes that I don't necessarily need to bunch up all of the days, because I don't necessarily know that I'm going to journal every single day. I just like having a place for it. I will start it in December 2021, and whether it's every day, whether it's 1 page a day, whether it's 2 lines, I don't know. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I said, don't be afraid of white space, just to leave space in between the different postings. Now, again, the reason why the mega seems kind of alluring is because it goes from 70 notes pages to over 200 notes pages, but I don't know how much I'm going to need. The cover on this, and I'm sorry if there's a glare, is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really leaning towards this. Plus, it's a lot thinner than the mega will be. So I think I'm probably going to use just the regular weeks, and if need be, if I run out of journaling space, if I use all 70 pages for journaling throughout the year, then I do have 2 more of these that I could just add on for additional journaling. I would like to have things all comprised in here, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Also, by the time it gets to the point where I'm getting close to December of 2022, I'll know whether or not, yes, I will want to finish out my year in here, or whether or not I want to migrate into the new one, which knowing me, more likely will be what's happening. But then that will also give me at least, what, 10 different pages, 10 more pages of all of the weekly spreads that I could use for some additional journaling. Again, so long as I know where things are, that's all that's really important. Now, if you've been around for a while on my channel, you know that I am not a planner, and you know I'm certainly not a pre-planner. But having this has helped immensely, because then I don't need to figure this out in my really brand new, beautiful Hobonichi Weeks. So I'm very thankful that I had this. Now, if for any reason you are thinking about moving your planning system from whatever it is you're using into a Hobonichi Weeks, or Hobonichi Weeks into something else, I'm pretty sure you can find some free printables that have the scale so that you can test it out that way. I had this on hand, and so I had no problem going in here, testing some things out, marking things that worked, some things that didn't, and I can still use this as an art journal. I mean, there's no reason why I can't do some watercolor on this page right here and just let it be what it's going to be. I mean, the paper's still there. It doesn't bother me that there's stuff on it already, but this I have found to be immensely useful. Now, I'm still debating whether or not I want to do my setup on camera, or if I just want to do my setup off camera and then show you a flip through. I'd love to know if you guys have a preference below. I know this video was kind of chatty, but fortunately I had this old one that I can sort of figure out how to move that A5 into this and still retain all of the different elements that I want to maintain. The only thing that's not going to fit in here is my bill tracker. That's why I actually have this. This is going to be for bill and important information. But like I said, I still have two others because it did come into a 3-piece set. I do have a cover on cover for this. Next time you see this, it will have it. Again, I literally got this today, and so I'll be showing this in my Hobonichi haul, but I am waiting for a few more things. I'd love to know what you guys think of this. Did you find any of this useful? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, well, that's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.